This is an MJA Inc. Investigations warning. This MJA podcast is rated E for explicit. Some details of a case and language used on this podcast might be upsetting to some of our listeners. Listeners' discretion is advised. And for those who are still with us, kick back and enjoy the show. Welcome to our MJA podcast. This series, The Doe'S, Episode 17, Part 5, 8 Unsolved Homicides of John and Jane Doe's. It has been reported that there are over 40,000 sets of human remains in the United States that have not been identified. They are labeled as John and Jane Doe's. MJA has had a saying that we have had from day one, and it's at the bottom of our emails. When we come into the world, we are given a name. It's only moral justice that we are buried with a name, even if that means being reburied. Since DNA has come into the mix, several John and Jane Doe's have been identified, but we still have a long way to go. To make things even worse, most of these John and Jane Doe's are victims of a homicide. It's a double whammy. The John and Jane Doe's are unidentified and they have been murdered. The Doe Network has a whole network pages for John and Jane Doe's entering info about the case on their site. The Doe Network was the model for the government website Name Us, thanks to Todd Matthews. The Doe Network and Name Us has a wealth of info concerning John and Jane Doe's. Please join us as we profile 8 cases of John and Jane Doe's unsolved homicides covering 4 states. Many of these cases won't have much info, but these types of cases needs to be profiled and never forgotten. Don't let these victims die twice, once in the field and once in the file. Good evening. My name is Mark, and I will be your host for tonight's show. Joining me later will be our co-host, Olivia. Welcome to the state of Arizona. Case 1. It was on April 5th, 1988 is when the skeletal human remains of a male was discovered in the remote desert washbed located outside of Tucson, Arizona. Case 2. It was on October 31st, 1958 is when the unclothed skeletal human remains of a female were discovered about 10 miles southeast of Grand Canyon in Arizona. Welcome to the state of California. Case 3. On June 7, 1978, a decomposing body of a male was discovered on the north side of Creek Road in an unincorporated coastal area of San Mateo County, California. Case 4. It was on October 24, 1975 is when the body of a black female was discovered in a drainage canal located in Riverside County, California. Welcome to the state of Colorado. Case 5. It was on September 10th, 1981 is when the partial human skeletal remains of a male were discovered in parts in the area of the northern Chaffee County outside of Salida, Colorado. Case 6. It was on June 20th, 1987 is when human skeletal remains of a female was discovered near an old mining road in Fremont County outside of Cannon City, Colorado. Welcome to the state of Florida. Case 7. It was on August 19th, 1984 is when the human skeletal remains of a male was discovered in the far southwest of Broward County, Florida. Case 8. It was on November 24th, 1974 is when the human skeletal remains of a female was discovered behind a new interstate mall, which was located at Interstate 4 and Highway 436, located in Almonte, Florida. Let's take a pause for the cause, and when we return, Olivia will be on the line. Olivia and I will profile Unsolved Homicides of John and Jane Doe's. Be back in a moment. When there is an ending, there was a beginning. Every victim has a picture to paint. Every true crime has its time and place. Please join our MJ podcast, the series Deep into the Woods, Missing Persons, Unsolved Crimes, and the Doe's. Welcome to our MJ podcast, this series, The Doe's, Episode 17, Part 5. 8 Unsolved Homicides of John and Jane Doe's. We have Olivia on the line. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
Are you ready to dig into these unsolved homicides?
Yes.
Welcome to the state of Arizona. The Doe Network has 213 John Doe's and 99 Jane Doe's listed as being discovered in the state of Arizona. Case 1. Welcome to Tucson, Arizona. John Doe Unsolved Homicide. It was on April 5, 1988 is when the skeletal human remains were discovered in a remote desert washbed located outside of Tucson, Arizona. The human remains were found in a garbage bag partially buried in the desert washbed, which was located near Ryan Airfield in Tucson, Arizona. After a forensic examination, it was determined that the skeletal remains was that of a white male with the age being 17 to 18 years of age. The estimated date of death was 10 to 16 months before the discovery. The cause of death is unknown, but due to the circumstances and the way John Doe was found, the victim's death is being investigated as a homicide. If you have any info concerning the homicide of this John Doe, please call the Pima County Medical Examiner's Office, Bruce Anderson, at 520-724-8600.
Case 2. Welcome to Grand Canyon, Arizona. Jane Doe Unsolved Homicide. It was on October 31st, 1958, when the unclothed skeletal human remains were discovered about 10 miles southeast of the Grand Canyon in Arizona. After a forensic examination, it was determined that the skeletal remains was that of a white and Hispanic female, the age being 11 to 17 years old. The estimated date of death was 9 to 18 months before the discovery. Cause of death is homicide. Doesn't state the matter of homicide, gunshot, stabbing, or etc. Clothing found near Jane Doe's remains appeared to be too big for the victim. There were other items collected at the scene. An 18-inch, 10-carat solid gold neck chain with tiny curb-style links. Take a hard look at this photo. Have you seen someone wearing this necklace? But one of the other items collected at the scene was a nail file case. It was speculated to have possibly belonged to 14-year-old Donis Pinky Redmond, a white female who disappeared from California in March 1958 along with her boyfriend. Redmond was later excluded from being Jane Doe. On August 1st, 1957, 20-year-old Mary, I don't know how to say that, Begay, Native American, went missing and was last seen at the Grand Canyon National Park where she worked. It was speculated that Jane Doe could be missing Mary Begay, but she was later excluded. Jane Doe, discovered on October 31, 1958, was nicknamed Little Miss X because of her suggestive age. Little Miss X was buried in the Citizen Cemetery at an unknown location. If you have any info concerning the unsolved homicide of this Jane Doe, please call the Coconino County Medical Examiner's Office, Elizabeth Ross, at 928-679-8775.
Welcome to the state of California. The Doe Network has 463 John Doe's and 233 Jane Doe's listed as being discovered in the state of California. Case 3. Welcome to San Mateo County, California. John Doe Unsolved Homicide. On June 7, 1978, a decomposing body was discovered on the north side of Creek Road in an unincorporated coastal area of San Mateo County, California. After a forensic examination, it was determined that the decomposing body was that of a white male with age being 20 to 30 years old. The estimated date of death was just weeks before discovery. The cause of death is homicide. It doesn't state the manner of the homicide, such as gunshot, stabbing, or etc. On June 7, 1978, John Doe's decomposing body was located 30 to 40 feet down an embankment laying near a creek in the coastal area of San Mateo County, California. There is evidence that the John Doe may have been a member of the gay community in San Francisco, California. If you have any info concerning this John Doe's unsolved homicide, please call the San Mateo County Coroner's Office at 650-312-5223 or 650-312-5562.
Case 4. Welcome to Riverside County, California. Jane Doe, unsolved homicide. It was on October 24th, 1975, when the body of a black female was discovered in a drainage canal located in Riverside County, California. After a forensic examination, it was determined that the black female was 19 to 25 years old. The estimated date of death was 24 hours or less before the discovery. Cause of death is homicide. Manner of death, forced drug overdose. On October 24, 1975, the black Jane Doe was located in shallow water in a drainage canal in the southern area outside of Riverside, California. There was about 3 to 4 inches of water in the canal, and Jane Doe's upper body was above water. Jane Doe was discovered in the canal, wrapped in a large brown blanket and tied with an electrical cord. The black Jane Doe was fully dressed with no visible signs of injury to her body. It is believed that Jane Doe was dumped at the location. If you have any info concerning this Jane Doe unsolved homicide, please call Riverside County Coroner at 951-443-2300.
Let's take a pause for the cause, and when we return, we will profile 4 more John and Jane Doe's unsolved homicides. Be back in a moment.
You are not real. The reality of an observable entity designated by the term everyday life stands a good chance of remaining hypothetical for many people. You are not real. Indeed, the most striking feature of the present group for research on everyday life is obviously not the fact that it has not yet discovered anything. You are not. But the fact that the very existence of everyday life has been disputed from its very inception. And increasingly so with each new session of this conference. You are not real. Most of the talks we have heard so far have been by people who are not at all convinced that everyday life exists. You are not real. Since they haven't encountered it anywhere. You are not real. A group for research on everyday life with this attitude is comparable in every way to an expedition in search of the Yeti. You are not real. You are not real, which might similarly come to the conclusion that its core was merely a popular hoax.
Welcome back to our MJ podcast. This series, The Doe's, Episode 17, Part 5, 8 Unsolved Homicides of John and Jane Doe's. Welcome to the state of Colorado. The Doe Network has 46 John Doe's and 15 Jane Doe's listed as being discovered in the state of Colorado. Case 5. Welcome to Salida, Colorado. John Doe unsolved homicide. It was on September 10th, 1981 is when the partial human skeletal remains were discovered in parts in the area of northern Chaffee County outside of Salida, Colorado. After a forensic examination, it was determined that the parts of the partial human skeleton remains were that of a white male with age being 15 to 19 years old. The estimated date of death was 5 years before discovery. The cause of death is unknown, but with the discovery and other evidence at the scene, the case is being investigated as a homicide. On September 10, 1981, John Doe's skeletal remains were located in a wooded area near Clear Creek Reservoir in the unincorporated area of North Chaffee County outside of Salida, Colorado. In 1986, more bones were found in the same general area. They were compared to the ones found in 1981 and ruled that they came from the same person, and each finding was done by the original pathologist. Found near the second set of bones were 3 cartridge shell casings. This led investigators to rule the case as a homicide. If you have any info concerning this unsolved homicide of this John Doe, please call the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office at 719-539-2596.
Case 6. Welcome to Cannon City, Colorado. Jane Doe Unsolved Homicide. It was on June 20th, 1987, when human skeletal remains were discovered near Old Mining Road, Fremont County, outside of Cannon City, Colorado. After a forensic examination, it was determined that the skeletal remains were that of a white female, with the age being 25 to 39 years old. The estimated date of death sometime in 1986. Cause of death is homicide. There isn't any info on the manner of homicide, such as a gunshot, stabbing, or etc. Jane Doe's skeletal remains were discovered by hikers near an old mining road 13 miles north of the intersection of US 50 and Phantom Canyon Road, Colorado 67, in Fremont County, outside of Cannon City, Colorado. Jane Doe's remains had been covered with rocks. Several items were recovered at the scene. Please take a long, hard look at the photo on the screen. There are several different rings, wristbands, necklaces, and keys on a safety pin. Has anyone seen a white female between 25 to 39 years old wearing any of these items? If you have any info concerning this Jane Doe's homicide, please call Fremont County Sheriff's Office, Detective Mike Miller, 719-276-5548.
Welcome to the state of Florida. The Doe Network has 442 John Does and 106 Jane Does listed as being discovered in the state of Florida. Case 7. Welcome to Broward County, Florida. John Doe Unsolved Homicide. It was on August 19, 1984, is when the human skeletal remains was discovered in the far southwest part of Broward County, Florida. After a forensic examination, it was determined that the skeletal remains were that of a white male with the age being between 21 to 35 years old. The estimated date of death was 7 months before discovery. The dental fillings appeared to be foreign to the United States, suggesting that some kind of military connection with Germany. The cause of death is homicide. The manner of the homicide was repeated blows with a machete-like instrument. It was on August 19, 1984, is when John Doe's skeletal remains were located on Bass Creek Road in the southwestern part of Broward County, Florida. John Doe had been brutally struck with a machete-like instrument repeatedly. John Doe's remains were partially concealed by a white foam mattress. Found at the scene with John Doe's remains was a silver ring, size 6.5. There was an inscription in German loosely translating to "Good luck in battle" or "Fortunes of war." The inscribed ring may have been an insignia for a particular regiment unit in Germany. Please take a hard look at the photo. Have you seen a male between 21 to 35 years old wearing this ring? If you have any info concerning this unsolved homicide of this John Doe, please call the District 17 Medical Examiner's Office in Broward County, Wendy Crane, at 954-357-5200.
Case 8. Welcome to Altamonte, Florida. Jane Doe Unsolved Homicides. It was on November 24th, 1974, when the human skeletal remains were discovered behind a new interstate mall, which was located at Interstate 4 and Highway 436, located in Altamonte, Florida. After a forensic examination, it was determined that the skeletal remains were that of a white female, with the age being 30 to 55 years old. The estimated date of death, 3 to 4 weeks before the discovery. Cause of death is homicide. The manner of homicide was multiple stab wounds. On November 24th, 1974, Jane Doe was discovered by the County Sheriff's Department behind what was at the time a newly constructed interstate mall located at Interstate 4 and Highway 436, located in Altamonte, Florida. Jane Doe may be the victim of convicted serial killer Gerald Spano. Spano confessed to picking up the Jane Doe while she hitchhiked outside Orlando in October 1974 and dumping her body at a construction site. Spano says he took Jane Doe's purse and shoes, but doesn't know where he discarded them. Those items were never found, but what was found with Jane Doe was a wedding ring. This led investigators to believe Jane Doe may have ties to California or Arizona. Jane Doe wedding ring set was sold between 1969 to 1972 to jewelry stores in those two states, but the rings couldn't be traced. If you have any info concerning this unsolved homicide of Jane Doe, please call the District's 9 and 25 Medical Examiner's Office at 407-836-9400.
Okay, Olivia, do you have anything you would like to add to these cases?
Grand Canyon. I was there many, many, many years ago. And the person I was with, he was a police officer. And he had said to me, he says, it kind of makes you wonder how many people, because it's deep,
Oh, yeah.
bodies were buried down there, and nobody knows of them. Because, who would go down there? You can, but really, you got the Colorado, is it the Snake River or the Colorado River? I'm thinking of the Hoover Dam. Colorado River, right? No, Snake River.
I know
Snake
there's,
River, right?
in that area, there's Colorado River, Arizona River, and, yeah, you might be right on the other one, but I don't know exactly.
Yeah, but I was, you wonder how many people are laying down there that you don't know of, that are missing.
Well, it's just like a lake.
And also in Colorado, too, this mountainous area.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many places to hide someone, and no one would know.
Well, see, what gets me about Jane and John Doe is not only they're not identified, they most of them died from a homicide, so that's like a double whammy. And then they always say, I know investigators always say, if they could identify the person, they might be able to find the killer. Well, there's been a lot of cases where that doesn't hold true, where they do identify the person and the whole thing's still a mystery, And
right.
But like I said,
but a Grand Canyon, something like that, where would you even begin to search? It's so vast.
Well, see, that's the same way with Arizona and California, the riverbeds that's in the desert. And like I said, and since it's a riverbed, it's so easy to bury people. And
didn't they find, not too long ago, what was it, Lake Mead? They found a lot of bodies there.
Oh, yeah, like I said, the water supply is going down.
I think the water went down.
It went down, and they're discovering all kinds of goodies in there.
Yeah? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nope. I'm
okay.
good.
I'd like to thank Olivia for being on the show tonight. A special thanks to our viewers and listeners for tuning in, for y'all have been so kind. I have a quote for you all. Let your hopes, not your hurts, shape your future. Robert Schuller. Always remember, folks, that if you ever get bored with nothing to do, well, take a walk deep into the woods. You might be surprised at what you might find. That's the end of our MJ podcast, this series, The Doe'S. This has been episode 17, part 5, 8 Unsolved Homicides of John and Jane Doe's. And we say to all of you, good night from Morrisonville, New York, located in the Adirondack Mountains.
What does it look like in heaven? Is it peaceful? Is it free like they say? Does the sun shine bright forever? Have your fears and your pain gone away? Here on earth it feels like every day good is missing since you left. And here on earth everything's different. There's an emptiness. Oh, I hope you're dancing in the sky, and I hope you're singing in the angels' choir. I hope the angels know what they have out there. It's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. Now tell me, what do you do up in heaven? All your days